Welcome to Payments Playbook, the show where we explore the strategies and systems that drive smarter payments, stronger cash flow, and more profitable business. Brought to you by Paylink, the business-to-business payment experts. Now let's dive into today's episode. For today's episode of Payments Playbook, we have Spencer Evans with Extreme Graphics. Welcome, Spencer, and thanks for being here.
Thanks, Paul. Glad to be here.
Excellent. Can you share a little history or information about Extreme Graphics and your role within the company?
Hey, you bet. So, I'm the president and owner of Extreme Graphics. We're in the middle of a rebrand right now. We're kind of moving towards EGX Group is kind of the new name that we're going to be we're transitioning into. Sign manufacturing and wide format printing company based in Central Florida. I acquired this business last year in August, so it's been about 10 months since I acquired the business. We service mostly hospitality and multifamily projects across the country. You know, we do full sign projects and sign programs everywhere from Florida to Nevada to New York City. So, you know, we've kind of done a mix of everything, but that's a little bit about us.
Excellent, excellent. And you're rebranding to the EX Group. Are you going to be adding more services, or pretty much continue with the signs?
I think we're really trying to lean into like full service sign packages, everything from large scale exterior sign programs to room number signs. So that's really kind of what we're leaning into is full sign packages. I think that we've found that signage is kind of like the forgotten trade on a lot of new development projects, and it's it, it's pretty much the last trade that comes into a project, and um, what we've found is that they forget about us, and so they come to sign companies 6 weeks before people are moving in, and they need a certificate of occupancy, and they have no signage yet. That's just how it's always been, and I don't think the sign industry has done itself any favors over the last 30 or 40 years. Just in general, just kind of a rough industry, and so we're just trying to bring a lot more real like professionalism and service to this industry, and we've had a lot of really great reception to this message that we're trying to put out there.
So you pretty much cover it A to Z, right? You'll do the graphics, the manufacturing of the sign, and the installation, correct?
Yep, and the design, we're happy to do design build, but we also will do more of a design assist, or we'll build the spec, but we have a really talented team of graphic designers that and then bring it to life. So, but really we try to take the whole thing and take the whole trade off of someone's plate, and just they can just be one trade lighter. Really, it's a project management.
Very cool. You mentioned you've purchased the business about 10, 11 months ago. What was your thought process, or why did you was owning a business kind of your main goal?
Yeah, growing up, my that's what my dad did. He bought a small business and grew it, and so growing up, I thought, my thought process is like that's what it means to be a father. That's what you got to do. And so I took a different, uh, less traditional path. Was an economist at Penn State University, so I'm repping the Penn State today, and I was working on a PhD in real estate economics, and just wasn't for me. It wasn't the right path for me. But my dissertation at Penn State was on capital expenditures in commercial real estate. I wanted to do something that was, you know, tangentially related to what I had done, you know, for several years, and signage was a part of my academic research, and so I felt like I understood signage for really any sort of capital expenditures or upgrades from a developer perspective. I understand the math and I understand the finance that developers are thinking of when they're making these investment decisions, and so I thought that I could bring maybe a different angle to an industry that is unique. We were willing to go anywhere in the country, and Central Florida is not a bad place to land. So
No, it's definitely not a bad place at all to hang your hat. Absolutely. Since, it's been almost a year now, what have been some of the challenges since you purchased the business? Obviously, with any business, there's ups and downs. What have been some of the bigger challenges you faced?
I think that there's certainly a learning curve of technical components of signage. We're looking at floor plans and engineering drawings. A lot of that's kind of out of my depth, but I still have to be able to speak to it, right? And I still have to be able to sit in front of customers and sell them on what's going on, like what we're doing and why we're doing it. One of the big challenges was operationally, like within our business. I wanted to implement efficiencies, and I wanted to be more tech forward and more on the cutting edge of all the operations and process improvement that we did. And so like implementing that's hard. When I acquired the business, it was all pen and paper, and it worked really well for the previous owners, but it just wasn't quite what I wanted. And so ended up implementing a full software and pricing engine that handles all of our estimating and all of the invoicing and all of which has been awesome, because I feel like that actually helped me get up the learning curve a lot quicker, having to go through that process.
Oh, absolutely. So when you were going through the process, you didn't build that software in-house, did you?
Nope, it's a software specific to the printing and signage industries.
And so basically, you vetted out the various offerings out there and came across that one.
Well, there were a lot of options we could have gone with, and I wanted something that I could really customize. In general, I just don't like really cookie cutter off the shelf stuff, and that's like through like across the board in my life. That's why I have an Android phone instead of an Apple. I just don't like off the shelf as much, and so I wanted to go with a system that I could customize to be exactly what I want, and I could dictate workflow exactly how I want it to be. I can dictate the appearance of the interface. I can, I can do all of that exactly how I want it to be. So that was one of the big factors that we went with. And I don't know, time will tell if it was the right decision, but for now it's been fine.
Did that come with a CRM component as well?
No, and going back to one of your other questions, that's been one of the other challenges, is that when I bought the business, there was no sales organization. There was no, that they were doing like like email blasts and some social media, but no real like outbound, like hard outbound sales efforts. And so I knew that one of the things, if I was going to survive and if I was going to grow, because my goal is to grow as big as possible, was that I needed to develop and to build a sales organization within EGX. And we so January I hired a director of sales, and he's been building out our sales organization. And so as part of that, we've now onboarded HubSpot to as our CRM, and we've put a lot of time and resources into building that out to be, again, exactly what we want it to be, with the different sequences and the different abilities to track email responsiveness. And so, and that is really just kind of getting off the ground now. But so far, HubSpot's been, I think, a really good option for us.
Oh, HubSpot is a very dynamic platform. I mean, there's a learning curve with that also, right? But very robust, and you can do a lot of things with HubSpot. And then at some point in time, are you going to connect HubSpot to your ERP system at all, or going to keep that separate?
Well, for right now, it's separate, and really within our company, we have two very different like lines of business almost. We have kind of this what we've been doing forever, the same. We have customers we've worked with for 20 years, and then we have this like outbound, more like hunting style rather than gathering. And so this other sales arm For now, I think I'm just going to keep it separate, and this will all merge later. I don't know if there's a good API to connect HubSpot and CoreBridge. CoreBridge is the ERP that we use, but so for now it's separate, and that's okay. I
It's okay. You have two distinct teams
yeah.
working on it too. So, yep. As far as, bringing it, introducing the new tech stack to the workforce, etc. There's people out there that just don't like change. What was the reception of your staff and team members, and how did you overcome it?
It was actually received really well. Like they were actually really excited that there was going to be more efficiency. Um, we have such an awesome team that like takes such great pride in the work that they do, and they're really really good at it. And so things like if they have to like rework something, they hate that, which is awesome. I love that mindset that like let's just do things right the first time. And it's hard to do things right when there's no process or there's no systems in place to like keep us on the path of what we should or shouldn't be doing. And so that's it's something that we still fight every day to get right. But I think that everybody's like really bought into this vision that like if we can be really efficient in the way that we work, and technology is going to just support that. If we can be really efficient in the way that we work, we can do more work. And if we can do more work, then we have more opportunities to grow. And if we have more opportunities to grow, then everybody can make more money. And so, like, I think incentives are always aligned when we're able to be more efficient. And I think we're on the path to where our tech stack is enabling us to be more efficient.
Yep. Well, it's a process, and I mean, been involved on implementing new technology, and I have found resistance in the past, and it's excellent that your team members are embracing it because they see the benefit to it, right? For them and for the company.
Right.
Excellent, excellent. As far as industry trends in your industry vertical, are you seeing any trends right now?
I think that anything that's tied to real estate, and especially new construction, is going to be really cyclical. And so that gives me makes me nervous, being tied to new construction. And, a lot of the projects that we're chasing right now are new developments, new multifamily or hotel developments. And, so that makes me a little bit nervous. I don't know that we got hit with tariffs too bad. Um, but I know that like a lot of projects that we've worked on that are a lot heavier, that use metal a lot more, as opposed to other substrates like acrylic. Like those have certainly been affected by tariffs, and some of our vendors and our subcontractors have been affected by tariffs. And so of course, costs are rising, our in our industry, and then coupling that with the fact that nobody wants to put signage up, but they have to put signage up. And there's some people that understand and appreciate signage, but if developers or owners have the attitude that signage is a burden, and now all of a sudden even signage is even more expensive, there's things like that that I can see that we're going up against. But I think in general, like especially where we're located in Central Florida, like Polk County, Orange County, Osceola County. These are some of the fastest growing metropolitan areas in the country. The opportunities for us are seemingly endless, and some of the other. I'm happy to talk about some of the other tech that we use, but like we. I can't keep up with the amount of new projects, and that doesn't mean that I'll win all of them or even a high percentage of them, but the opportunity for me to compete on multiple jobs is seemingly endless. And so it's almost overwhelming that we can't keep up with all of the new projects that are coming out.
Yep. So, I mean, for your raw materials, primarily metal in this case, do you have a high inventory, or do you do the Kanban or just in time, or?
We're mostly just in time. I think that one, we're constrained by space in the current facilities that we're in, and so it's not really feasible for me to carry a lot of inventory. Um, we also have really good distributor partners that in a lot of cases will do like free next day delivery. So it doesn't really make sense for me to be tied for my cash to be tied up in inventory
No, you don't want to.
when I
If
can
you
get
don't
it.
have tie capital up in it, absolutely not. And if you have a good relationship with your distributors,
Yeah.
it's perfect.
Yeah. So I think that like, I just don't really see a need to carry a bunch of inventory right now.
Yep. Since this came to mind, since you're an economist, and I just saw this morning that the Fed Reserve are holding rates, I would have to believe that, interest rates as they rise have an impact on your business, correct? Because the market or the developers, the business slows down basically, right?
I think there's actually kind of two main parts to it. On the interest rate side, that's obviously going to affect the ability to finance new projects. But I think what the bigger issue for a lot of the developers that we're targeting, as potential clients is actually the rent growth that rents are, especially in multifamily, that rents are not high enough to justify new development right now compared to construction costs. During COVID, construction costs exploded, but rents didn't increase enough to cover that explosion in construction expense. And so they're not able to pencil deals right now for a lot of projects. In order for it to work, they would need to be getting, for example, $2,500 a month per door, but the market right now is pushing it at like $2,100 a door, and so it doesn't make sense for people to develop. Um, so a lot of the projects that we're working on now either secured low interest rate financing, a couple of years ago, or they started building and just had to keep going because they've already started. And so those are kind of some of the projects that were, I think, the larger issue in commercial real estate is, uh, especially multifamily. I don't follow retail or industrial as much because they're not like our big customers, but in multifamily, that it's actually the rental rate that is going to be the prohibiting factor for new development more so than interest rates.
Interesting. Interesting. Never, yeah, I guess makes sense. Well, since I obviously specialize in the payments piece, what's your accounts receivables? What's your process? Do you send out an invoice and have net 30, or what kind of terms do you offer?
Yeah, it's typically net 30 is what we try to get. And I don't know that we actually have any customers that push us past net 30. And there's actually a lot of products that we're able to collect upon receipt. Have a kind of a blended, there's some, we do like vehicle wraps in our shop, and typically we'll collect payment when they pick up their vehicle. So net 30 is usually the terms that we get. And we always try to collect deposits on jobs. We have really good partners that will support us in paying deposits for projects also.
Yep, get something down and then net 30. And primarily most of your customer base, since you're B2B, are they doing traditional checks, or have they incorporated the purchasing or virtual cards that are very commonplace now?
We've had one job with a virtual purchasing card. I don't know. I think the concept is cool. Other than I had to be the one that input all uh, the card numbers, so it adds a little bit of inconvenience on my end. But most of our, I don't know, it's probably 40% physical check, 50% like wire or ACH or more. Most it's probably 60%, almost 60% ACH.
ACH it over to you. Yep, and I would assume a lot of the money is held in escrow, and they release it whatever every 30 days or every week or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Um, well, great. It was a great conversation. How do people find out more about Extreme Graphics or EX Group now?
Yeah.
And how would they get a hold of you?
Yeah. So we just revamped our website, and that's egxgroup.com. And we're revamping our other social media platforms on Facebook and Instagram. So right now, the best way to contact us would be through the either through the website. There's a contact us button, or my personal email, or one of the office emails. So Spencer@egxgroup.com. So yeah, so we're happy to help out in any sign or graphic projects around the country.
Excellent, excellent.